Welcome to List Lab. Today, we're diving into the fascinating history of time, a journey filled with mysteries that have intrigued and puzzled humanity for centuries. Have you ever wondered how ancient civilizations measured time so precisely, or if time travel might be possible? Stick with us as we explore 10 mind-bending mysteries that challenge everything we thought we knew about time itself. From ancient clocks to the very origins of time, this list has it all. If you enjoy content that makes you think about the universe differently, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible discoveries. Number 10. Time's earliest guardians. Let's begin our journey at a point in history when humans first tried to understand and tame time, around 1500 BCE to up. Sundials weren't just crude tools. They were masterpieces of observation and design, allowing early civilizations to carve their understanding of time quite literally in stone. While they seem simple to us now, these ancient instruments were precise enough to predict the changing of seasons and help plan the planting and harvesting of crops. But here's the twist. Some sundials were aligned with astronomical bodies so precisely, it leaves us with serious questions. How could ancient people, without telescopes or modern measuring instruments, achieve such accuracy? The sundials of Karnak in Egypt, for example, are believed to have been used not just for measuring the day, but possibly for rituals tied to the movement of the sun. Their positioning and alignment are so complex, some suggest they had access to forgotten knowledge about the Earth's place in the cosmos. What do you think? Could our ancestors have had advanced technologies, or is there something more mystical at play? Drop a comment below with your thoughts on how early humans managed to create these sophisticated timepieces. Number 9. The Mayan calendar. Predicting the end of time. The Mayans didn't just track time, they were masters of it. The famous Mayan calendar predicted what some believe would be the end of time in 2012. But the truth goes far deeper than that oversimplified narrative. The Mayans developed several interlocking calendars, the most notable being the long count calendar, which covered massive cycles of around 5,125 years. When people say the Mayans predicted the end of the world, they often forget the remarkable astronomical accuracy of their calendars. They didn't just mark days. They predicted solar eclipses, the paths of Venus, and even lunar phases with a precision that rivaled, and in some cases, surpassed that of their European contemporaries. The big question is, how? How could a civilization without modern telescopes predict these events so far into the future? Did they have help, perhaps from extraterrestrial visitors? Or could it be that their priests and scholars had an incredibly deep, intuitive understanding of the universe? One thing's for sure, time, for the Mayans, was a sacred entity, far beyond our modern notion of minutes and hours. The next time you glance at your watch, think about the thousands of years of astronomical wisdom that came before. Number 8. The long now clock. A clock designed to last 10,000 years. Imagine a clock designed to run for 10,000 years. Sounds impossible, right? But it's real, and it's called the long now clock. This incredible timepiece, also known as the Clock of the Long Now, is currently being built deep inside a mountain in Texas, and is specifically designed to keep ticking for millennia, resisting the harshest conditions and the passage of time itself. The idea behind the Long Now clock is to make people think differently about time, stretching our perspective from the present day to thousands of years into the future. Unlike the clocks on our walls, this isn't just about keeping accurate time. It's about creating a symbol of long-term thinking. It features a unique chime generator that will produce a different sound every day for 10,000 years. Think about that. Your great-great-grandchildren could hear a chime from this clock that has never been heard before and will never be repeated again. But it raises an interesting question. Why build something like this at all? The creators, including inventor and computer scientist Danny Hillis, want to inspire a sense of responsibility for the future. They believe that if people start thinking in terms of centuries rather than years, it could profoundly impact our decisions today, from the environment to technology and beyond. What challenges do you think this clock will face as it tries to withstand not only time but also the unpredictable future of human civilization? Let me know in the comments below. Would you make the pilgrimage to see this symbol of the future ticking away in a mountain, waiting for generations to come? Number 7. Time loops in mythology. Stories of eternal return. Did you know that myths about time loops can be found in cultures around the world? These aren't just entertaining stories. Many ancient people saw time as a repeating cycle, rather than a linear path. In Greek mythology, there's the story of Sisyphus, who was condemned to push a boulder up a hill for eternity, only for it to roll back down every time he neared the top. In Hindu cosmology, we have kalpas, time cycles that span billions of years, covering the rise and fall of entire worlds. But why did so many cultures share this fascination with repeating time? Could it be that they were hinting at a deeper truth about the universe? Modern physics tells us that time might not be as straightforward as we think. The theory of eternal recurrence even suggests that under certain conditions, the universe itself could cycle endlessly, repeating forever. Ancient myths might be more than just allegories. They might be humanity's early attempts to understand the strange and looping nature of time. If you enjoy these explorations into myth and science, stick around for more. Number 6. The clock that could reset itself. John Harrison's Chronometer. Fast forward to the 18th century and you'll find one of the most important timekeeping devices ever created. John Harrison's H4 chronometer. Now, why was this clock so important? Before the H4, sailors had no reliable way to determine their longitude at sea, which led to countless shipwrecks and lost lives. John Harrison's clock changed everything. It was the first timepiece that could keep accurate time aboard a rocking ship, unaffected by the rolling of the waves or changes in temperature and humidity. The H4 wasn't just a clock. It was a revolutionary leap in understanding how to accurately track time in an unpredictable environment. The British government even offered a massive reward for anyone who could solve the longitude problem, and Harrison's invention claimed it. But here's where the story takes an interesting turn. Many of Harrison's peers were skeptical. They thought it was impossible to create such a precise mechanism. Even today, the level of craftsmanship in Harrison's chronometer inspires awe. Was it sheer brilliance, or did Harrison stumble upon some deeper secret of time's mechanics? It's fascinating to think how his breakthrough transformed the world of exploration and opened up the age of empires. Let me know in the comments. If you could hold a piece of history in your hands, would it be Harrison's chronometer or the long now clock? Number 5. Einstein's Relativity. Time is not what you think, Albert Einstein. You can't talk about the history of time without mentioning the man who literally changed how we see it. Before Einstein, people thought of time as an absolute, a constant tick-tock moving at the same speed for everyone. But relativity shattered that idea. Time, according to Einstein, is elastic. It bends, it stretches, and it's affected by speed and gravity. Imagine standing next to a black hole. According to Einstein's theory of general relativity, time would pass differently for you than for someone far away from the black hole. Time slows down in intense gravitational fields, a concept that gave rise to mind-bending sci-fi ideas like time travel and wormholes. One of the coolest examples is that astronauts aboard the International Space Station actually age just a tiny bit slower than we do here on Earth, thanks to the effects of both speed and gravity. The implications of Einstein's work are still being unraveled today. Could we one day use this knowledge to travel through time? Who knows? But it's a reminder that time is a lot stranger than our everyday experience suggests. If you love thinking about time travel and the mysteries of the universe, let us know in the comments, because we're just scratching the surface. Number 4. Stonehenge. Time tracking or something more? One of the most iconic and mysterious monuments in human history is Stonehenge. Situated in the English countryside, these massive stones have stood for over 4,000 years. Archaeologists have long believed that Stonehenge functioned as an ancient calendar, aligned with the movements of the sun during the solstices. On the longest and shortest days of the year, the stones align perfectly with the sun's path, marking time in a way that still impresses us today. But what if it was more than that? Recent findings suggest that Stonehenge may have also been a place of healing, or even a ceremonial gathering place where people came together to mark the passing of seasons. The deeper we dig, the more questions we uncover. Why go through the incredible effort of transporting these massive stones across miles of rough terrain just for a calendar? Was it a spiritual need to connect with the heavens, or did it serve some forgotten purpose related to the very nature of time? The mystery of Stonehenge continues to captivate the world. It's not just a relic of the past, It's a link to a time when humans saw themselves as part of a much larger cosmic rhythm. If you've ever visited Stonehenge or plan to, let us know your thoughts. Do you feel the weight of its history and the mysteries of time when you stand there? Number 3. Time slips. Real-life accounts of time travel. Throughout history, there have been strange accounts of people who claim to have slipped through time. These aren't just sci-fi stories. They're real-life accounts that defy explanation. One of the most famous is the story of Rudolf Fentz. According to legend, Fentz was found wandering in Times Square in 1950, dressed in 19th century clothing and holding old currency. He was struck by a car, and his identity could not be verified, except that records showed a man named Rudolf Fentz had disappeared without a trace in the late 1800s. Another case involved a couple visiting the Palace of Versailles in France who claimed to have seen people dressed in 18th century clothing. They described detailed scenes that historians later matched to the court of Marie Antoinette. These stories, known as time slips, make us wonder, could time be more fluid than we think? Could there be cracks in the fabric of reality that allow us to catch glimpses of other eras? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think time slips are just tricks of the mind? Or could they be real? If you've ever experienced anything like this, share it in the comments. And don't forget to share your thoughts on these amazing mysteries. Number 2. The arrow of time. Why does it only go forward? Have you ever wondered why we can remember the past but not the future? This is the mystery of the arrow of time. According to the laws of physics, most processes are symmetrical. You can reverse them, and they would still follow the laws of nature. But time seems to be an exception. Time only moves forward, always marching from past to future. This is tied to the concept of entropy, the idea that the universe is constantly moving from a state of order to disorder. Think of an egg breaking. It's easy to break an egg, but impossible to unbreak it. But why is this? Some scientists believe the arrow of time could be tied to the Big Bang, when time and space as we know it were created. Others think that time, as we perceive it, could be an illusion, a side effect of the way our brains process the world. Whatever the truth, it's a fundamental mystery that we still don't fully understand. Is time a one-way street, or are there other dimensions where it moves differently? Stick around, because we'll be covering more mind-boggling topics like this in the future. Number 1. The Big Bang, the beginning of time itself. And finally, we come to the ultimate mystery, the Big Bang. Around 13.8 billion years ago, something incredible happened. The universe as we know it sprang into existence, and with it, time itself began. But what was there before the Big Bang? Some scientists suggest there was nothing. No space, no time. Others propose theories like the multiverse, where multiple universes coexist, each with its own version of time. There's even a theory called the Big Bounce, which suggests that our universe could be part of an endless cycle, expanding, contracting, and then expanding again, with time restarting each time. If true, it means time as we understand it might be just one phase in an eternal dance of creation and destruction. It's a humbling thought. Everything we know, all of history, all of our lives, is just a small chapter in the vast, mysterious book of time. And maybe, one day, we'll unlock the secrets to what came before and what comes next. Until then, we'll keep exploring, one mystery at a time. And there you have it, the top 10 mysteries in the history of time. Which one fascinated you the most? If you enjoyed today's deep dive, make sure to like this video, share it with your fellow curious minds, and subscribe to List Lab for more adventures into the unknown. Remember, we're all traveling through time. Let's do it together, one mystery at a time.